Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be rebuilding Chrome's What's New landing page, which is the page that shows up when you update Google Chrome to the latest version. So this is how the page looks like. I'm going to be doing the dark mode version for it because I like the dark mode version better. But just in case you're wondering, if you have light mode enabled on your system, then you're going to be seeing the light mode version of this website. So this is how it looks in dark mode. It's a pretty simple layout, just some grid here and there, and a grid also on the bottom, which is kind of like a blog, and then a simple looking footer as well. So as we begin, I just want to mention that I've already downloaded the images that we're going to require, except these images on the right and on the left. These are SVG images that we are going to use some reverse engineering to get to display properly on our website. But I have this logo, the Chrome logo. I have this image, and all the other images up to the bottom. And so what I've done is I have created a new folder, which I have called Chrome What's New. And then inside this folder, I have an images folder, which contains the images that we're going to require for this project. And you don't have to worry. All you need to do is just check the link in the description, which is going to have the GitHub repository so that you can get all these images as well. And then I have an index.css file, which is currently empty. And then I have an index.html file, which just holds the boilerplate for HTML. And if you're using Emmet, all you need to do is just say exclamation and enter, and it's going to generate this for you. And then just change the document title to What's New. And then I am rendering an H1 that says Hello World. And then when I save it, I'm going to be using an extension that is called Live Server, which is going to launch a local development server for me. So it is called Live Server. You can install it. You don't have to use it, but I prefer it. And then once you install this extension, you can just go in your workspace, right click and say open with Live Server. And it is going to open up a development server for you on localhost 5500. And let me use Chrome for this one. And there we go. So we have this opened, and you can see that it is only rendering Hello World. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this to the right, and then I'm going to place my code editor to the left. And then right away, let me go ahead and get the background color for this one. And I have an extension that is called Color Picker Eyedropper. And I'm just going to activate it. And then I want to get the color that is here. Really? What? Oh, you know what? I can't get this color because this is not a website technically, because it is it shows as though it's on my local machine. So let's just do this instead. Let's get the color here to be 20, 21, 25. So copy this hex value, and then inside our index CSS, we're just going to specify the body to have a background color of this. And then when I save it, you're going to see that this is going to update, but it doesn't because I need to link in my style sheet. So link this into index.css, and then now it activates. This is our background color. And then before we continue, by the way, let me just go ahead into fonts.google.com so that you can get the Roboto font, which is the font that we're going to be using for this project. So fonts.google.com, and then we're going to select the Roboto font, and we're going to be using the regular 400 as well as the bold 700. So let's use the import tab because we want to add it in our CSS. So copy and paste it right above this. So paste it here, and then what's the problem? Import URL or at import. It should say at import. There we go. And then let's specify the body to have a font family of Roboto and a fallback of Arial, and then a fallback of sans serif as well. So sans serif, this one. There we go. And then let's specify the font size to be 16 pixels. I mean, we don't really have to do this anyway because the default font size is always 16 pixels. So you know what, let's just remove it. And then let's see whether our font applies. And you can see that now we have the Roboto font looking nice. And then because it's on dark mode, the default color that we're going to be using is white for everything, because we are building the dark mode version. So we always want the text to be white. Now let's go ahead and do this. Let's reset some of this styling by going above this and saying that reset the margin to 0, reset the padding to 0, and reset the box sizing to border box, and then let's save it. And you can see that now the default margin is removed. Now let's begin building this out. I want to build the mobile version first of all. So what I'm going to do is place this here and then place this to the left, and then we are going to do the following. I want to place everything inside a container. So let me say inside a class called container, I want to have a section that is called hero, a class of hero, and then inside here we're going to have an h1 that says what's new in Chrome, and then below this we're going to have a paragraph that says this. So we're just going to do some copying and pasting just to move a bit faster. Okay, we're going to add this in later. I just want to build out this UI, and then we're going to be styling everything all at once. So actually, you know what, let me just go ahead and add in this logo image here. The image is going to have a source of /images / logo.svg, and then below this section of class hero we're going to have another section, and I'm going to call this section grid. Okay, so we have a section called grid. Do I want to do that? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. And it starts with an image here. The source is going to be /images, and it is called, what is the name of this? Memory saver. Oops. Memory saver.webp. Come on, there we go. So memory saver, the alt attribute, I'm just going to say memory saver, or let me say Chrome memory saver. And then below this image we're going to have an h3 that says performance with a capital P, and then below this h3 we're going to have an h2 that says this. So copy and paste it here, and then below this paragraph, sorry, below this h2 we're going to have a paragraph that says this. So copy this and paste it here, and then below this paragraph we're going to have an ordered list, so OL, with list items here, so 3 of them. So let's say copy 1, 2, and then copy this part, paste it here for the first one, and then this one for the second one, and then this one for the third one. There we go. And then for this section we're going to do the same thing for this second section. Let's just copy this entire section here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Copy the section with the class of grid. So copy and then paste it here. But for this second one we're going to add another class called grid reverse. And the reason why I'm adding this class inside is because on large screens the grids are reversed for the second one, right? They are kind of reversed. So that's why I have the second class, so that we can just do that. And the second image says, is called what? Energy saver. So energy saver.webp, really? What is happening? Energy saver, and then this is called Chrome energy saver. The h3 still says performance, but the h2 is different. So copy this and paste it here, and then copy this text and paste it on the paragraph here, and then let's copy the list items once again. So copy this first one, paste it here. My mouse seems to be double clicking. Look, okay. Copy this second one, paste it here, and then copy the third one and paste it here. There we go. And then we're going to copy this section once again. So this section, copy, and below this we're going to paste it in, and then perhaps we're going to remove this class of grid reverse, and then I'm going to give it another class because it has a different background color. So perhaps I should call it maybe grid-light. I can use pseudo classes to change this up, but I don't want to do that because sometimes it gets a bit complicated. So let's change this into, this is called what? Reading list. There we go. And then let's say Chrome reading list. The h3 now says Chrome tip, and then this text says this. So copy and paste it on the h2, and then let's grab the paragraph, copy and paste it here. let's go ahead and grab the first list item. So copy and paste it here. And then the second one, copy, paste it here. And then finally the third one, copy and paste it here. There we go. Let's remove that space and remove this space. And then we have this section, the other section that is called a features. Let's just call it features. And then inside here, we're going to have 3 articles because we have this first one, the second one, and then the third one. You can call them articles, you can call them divs. I like articles, so let's use an article. And then above this article, we're going to have an H4 that says January 2023. Below this, let's have a paragraph that says organize and prioritize as you browse with the side panel. As you browse with the side panel. And then we're going to have a link here that says learn more. So learn more, but this is not going anywhere, so we're just going to have a hashtag here. And then below this link, we're going to have an image. The source for this image is /images / should be side panel. And then now the way this is structured, see how this text is moved inwards, but the image is still to the edge. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the H4 up to the anchor tag and place it inside a div, so that when we can place a padding on the div without it affecting the image, so that the image is always going to be to the end. And then now let's go ahead and do this. Let's copy this article. Copy, sorry, 1 and 2. The second one says November 2022. So November 2022. The text here says save money and time as you shop. And then learn more still the same. And then this image changes into pricing. Yes, price tracking. And then this third one says September 2022. September 2022. This text says get a productivity boost from organized tabs. Learn more is still the same, and then this one should say something like productivity, or what is it called? What is it called? Price tracking? No, should be tab groups. Yes, tab groups. And there we go. And then below the article, and let me see, let me go below the section probably, and then let's have in a button here that says, what does it say? View more. View more. There we go. And then below this div, we're going to have a footer finally. And then this footer is the same color as this part. So I give it a class of grid lighter or grid light. So let's go ahead and give the footer a class of grid dash light, so that it can take up the same color as the section above. And then let's go ahead and structure it like this. We're going to have a div. This first div is going to have an h5 that says follow us, and then we're going to have a ul with 3 list items, and these are going to be anchor tags, but I just realized that I don't have these images. We are going to get them anyway, so you know what, let me send them into actual links. So https://youtube.com. the anchor tag here is going to be an image which we're going to get. So we're going to have an image. The source for this image is going to be /images /youtube.something. I don't quite know the extension for this yet, and it's even an svg. It's not even an image, so we're going to get the svg here. So let's remove this, and then this second one, let's do this. Let's copy this, paste it here and here. This second one is going to say Twitter, and this third one is going to say Facebook. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab the svgs for this. So let's inspect this, and then let's go to the bottom. Let's go ahead and copy, come on, this one. Really? This one. Okay, so it's an image. Can I open it? Yes, I can. So it's this image. But is this going to show up on our dark mode? Because the image here is darker. It is the darker image. Let me see. Let's see. This is the second one. SVG class. So I want the SVG class. I want the SVG. So here, let's copy this element. So copy element and paste it here. That is the SVG for the YouTube icon. And then let's go ahead and copy this SVG. Where are you? Here. Come on, open it and then copy element. This is the SVG for Twitter. And then for Facebook is going to be this third list item inside the anchor tag. And let's grab the SVG here and let's say copy element, and we're going to paste it here. Let's remove this space and let's remove this space, and then we can place this back to full screen and then this back to the side. You know what, this to the left. There we go. Okay, so once we have that UL, we're going to go below this div. We're going to create another div, and then this other div is going to have an h2 that says Google. This might be an image or not, but it says Google, so you can add it in as text. And then below this h2, we're going to have a UL with 3 list items, and then these are also links, but I'm not going to add them in as links. So I'm just going to say privacy and terms. This one says about Google, and then this one says Google products. And then below this UL, we have another UL. So UL with 3 list items. This first one is going to say help because I don't have this icon. And then this second one says English United States. Obviously, this is going to be dynamic depending on your region. And you know what? It's only 2 of them. We don't need to add this in because this is a selection for the languages. Okay, so let's save it and then let's navigate into our website. Let's see what you have. Look at that, looking absolutely horrible. But we're just about to begin styling everything out. Where are our images? Our images are not showing. Okay, we're going to style them out, don't worry. Now let's begin to style everything from the top, and we're going to do the following. So on the top we have a div with a class of container, which is the parent for everything, and then we have a class called hero. So for the class of hero, that's the one we're going to begin with. We're going to have a padding all round of 32 pixels just to push everything inwards. You can see that now this pushes inwards. And then for the hero, I want to get the h1, and then I'm going to say, you know what, first of all here, let's say text align center for everything to push everything to the center. And then here I'm going to say for the hero h1, I want a margin in the bottom of 32 pixels. And probably let me use rem. Let me use rem. So 2 rem, because 1 rem is 16 pixels, which is the default one. And then below this, we're going to say that for the hero paragraph, we're going to have a margin bottom of 4 rem to push away from this icon. And then for the hero, I want more padding on the top. So let me say this. Let me say padding of 4 rem on the top and 2 rem on the left and right. Increase it to 6 rem. And let's have that. So this is technically how we want it to look. Let me see. On mobile. Oops. That is oh, we're going to add in the images. We haven't added in the images, so it's just going to remain a bit bland like this for now, but we're going to add in the images in a few moments. This weight is too much. The font weight is too much here. Let's remove this. So let's go ahead and reduce this to 500. Let me see how it looks. Does 500 work? Really? 600? 500, 600. Let's use 600. And then for the hero h1, let's increase the font size. So font size here is going to be about maybe 2 rem. Maybe, I think that's big enough. And then we're going to increase it on large screens. And then let's go inside this second section. The second section is called grid. So this one here. So for the class of grid, we have the image and then this text. And remember that we are reusing the class of grid. So when I style this first one, it's also going to style this second one and this third one as well. So for the class of grid, I'm going to say give it a padding all around of 2 rem, because we have been using 2 rem. And you can see immediately this is what happens, right? Now, the reason why the images are kind of too big for the current device width is because by default they take up their entire width unless you specify them to a fixed width. So the way we're going to do that is right above the body here, we're going to declare all images to have a max width of 100%, which means they're going to take up 100% of the container in which they are placed so that they don't overflow, as you can see. So that looks nice. And then let's also do this. Let's say that for all the anchor tags, let's have a text decoration of none so that we don't have the underline, and then let's set the color to white for the anchor tags here. And then once we have that, again, let's go ahead and specify that for all the ordered list items, so these numbered ones, we want a padding on the left of 2 rem, which is going to push them inwards just a bit. Or maybe, let me see, 1 rem. Yeah, let's use 1 rem. Let me see how this is styled. Yes, let's use 1 rem because it looks much better. And that looks okay. And then below the body, I've just remembered that let's declare all the paragraphs to have a line height of 1.8 to separate them out. So 1.8. And I want this to apply on the paragraphs as well as the list items, which are the ordered list items here. So save it, and you can see that immediately the paragraphs are a bit more spaced out, meaning they're going to be easier to read. So that looks nice. That looks nice. Let's go ahead and continue styling this class of grid. And for the class of grid, I want to say that for the grid, and I want to get the image first of all. And what? The image is already okay, so let's not do the image. Let's do the H3, which is this first one here. And we're going to say that for the H3, the first thing we want to do is text transform and set it to uppercase so that they are all uppercase, and then reduce the font size to 1 rem. Let me see how this looks. Yes, it's even smaller, right? It's even smaller. So let's say 0.8 rem, and then let's say the font weight is going to be 400. Okay, since it's 400, let's increase this back to 1 rem. No, 0.9 rem. It's a lot of trial and error. And then once we have that, let's move this downwards, and then let's go ahead and say letter spacing. Set this to about 0.2 rem to separate out the letters just a bit. That's too much. Let's say 0.1. Yeah, that looks okay. And remember that we are styling this one, but because we are reusing classes, then it's also styling the second one as well as this third one. So that is the benefit of reusing classes. And then now for the H3, let's say we want a margin of, let's say, 1 rem on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right to push away from the image as well as from this first text. Is that okay? Let me see. It's a bit more on top, right? So let's say margin of 2 rem on the top, 0 on the left and right, and 1 rem on the bottom, so that we have that. Okay, looking nice. And then let's say we need to style the second paragraph, which is not the paragraph but the H2. So for the grid H2, we're going to say the font weight is going to be 500. Wait, was it 500 that I specified, or 600? 600. So font weight 600. Let's say margin bottom of 1 rem to push away from this text, and then let's see. Yeah, that looks okay. That looks okay. Probably let's increase the line height to about 1.3 or 1.4. 1.8. Is that working? Okay, let's do 1.6 then, or 1.5. A lot of trial and error. And then let's say that for the grid OL, for the ordered list, now here we want a margin on the top of 1 rem to push away from the paragraph, and we are going to have this. It's not really 1 rem. 1 rem is a bit too big, right? So let's say 0.5 rem. Yes, let's do that. And then you can see that we have styled this one, and we have styled this one, and this one as well. So on mobile, it looks completely okay. All we need to do now is style this next section, which is called features. So for the dot features, let's go ahead and say we want this to do what? Let me see. Actually, you know what? Inside the features, we have articles. We have articles inside the features. Let me give it a padding of about what? 2 rem all around. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do this. Let me see how it's structured. We have features. Where are you? Features. So we have the article, and then the div, and then the image. So let's go ahead and say that for the features, article, and then the div, we want a padding of 1 rem all round to push this text inwards. And then let's go ahead and say that for the article should have a background color, should have, oh, this section also has the light background color. I forgot to add that in. But let's go ahead and grab this color. So let's go ahead and inspect once again, and let's grab this color. The color should be this one, so copy, and then let's go ahead for the article. We're going to give it a background color of this, and this is going to apply for the 3 articles that we have. So this one, this one, and this one, but they're not separated. That's why it looks like this. So let me see, how is it? Okay, now see how this is pushed inwards but ours is still to the edge? That is because we have used padding here. So let's change this to margin. Let's change it to margin, and it's going to now push inwards. You can see that. And then let's go and do this. Let me see. We need to separate this out just a bit. So let's say that for the features article, and we want the div, and then we want the, what heading did I use? H4. We want the H4. We want this to have a font weight of 400. We want it to have a margin bottom of 1 rem. And actually that's it. Yeah, that's it. Is it capitalized? No, it is not capitalized. And then we want to do the same thing for the paragraph, except that the paragraph already has a font weight of 400, but we want the margin bottom on the paragraph so that it pushes away from this link. Let me see how is the link. The link is blue in color. So let's go ahead and copy this part, and let's say, oops, let's say for that for the anchor tags, the color is going to be light blue or light sky blue. Let's use that one. Yeah, that looks okay. Looking fantastic. Now this needs to be a rounded border. These need to be rounded borders. So back inside our article, we're going to give it a border radius of about 0.625 rem, which is 10 pixels, and we're going to have that. And then now we are presented with another issue here, where it seems as though the background here is overflowing just a bit. So let me see if I can fix that by going inside our div. And you know what, it's not even inside the div, it is the features article and then the image, and then setting the height here to 100%. Will that work? That doesn't work. Setting the height to auto doesn't work either, and setting the width to 100%. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Let's see, how do we fix that? How do we fix this? If I say position absolute, this is going to break. It's going to break, yes. But if I go inside the article and say position relative, it still breaks. Yes, it still breaks. I don't want to use absolute positioning. So let me position the image as relative, and then move it to the bottom of 0 or of -10 pixels. So when you move it to the bottom -10 pixels, now it covers that space that it was there. I feel like that's a crude method to do it, but it works, right? It works. I mean, it's one way to do it. And then let's remove the width of 100%. Yeah, we don't need that. And then let me see if I can set the overflow to hidden. It doesn't do anything, so let's remove it. Okay, now let's do this. Let's say border radius, let's set it to 0 on the top left, 0 on the top right, and then 10 pixels on the bottom right and 10 pixels on the bottom left, so that the images are rounded here, just like the border radius that we added on the top. Remember, we added a border radius of 0.625 rem here, and what I used rem, right? So just to keep it consistent, let's also use rem here. So paste it here and paste it here, just to keep it consistent. And then when you hover over these articles, see how they kind of move upwards just a bit. they move upwards just a bit when you hover over them. Let's add that in. So for the articles here, we're going to say that for the features articles, you want that when you hover over them, you want them to transform and translate on the y-axis by minus 0.5 rem. How does that look? Let's see. Yeah, okay, that's correct. And then let's add a transition here, and let's transition all the elements. Or you know what? You want to transition the transform property by 0.3 seconds, and then let's say is in out, and we're going to have that. Would you look at that? Looking nice, almost as though almost like this one. And then the articles also have a box shadow. See this very slight box shadow on the bottom? Let's go ahead and do this. For the articles, we're going to have a box shadow on top here. So box shadow, and we're going to say about 5 pixels on the hover. And then we want not on the hover, sorry, but on the horizontal. And then we want 5 pixels on the vertical. And then we want 0 on the blur, because the border radius does not blur here. The box shadow doesn't blur. And then we want to give it a black color. So RGBA, let's say about 0, 0, 0 and 0 point, 0 point what, 0.3 maybe. Let's see how it looks. Where is the border radius? Oh, the border radius is here. I don't know whether you can see it. Now, the reason why it is here is because remember the image is positioned minus 10 pixels to the bottom. So we need this to go at least more than 10 pixels here. So let's do 15 here. And you can see that now it moves downwards, right? Now, on hover, the box shadow moves downwards just a bit. Downwards and then to the right. So let's see whether we can do that. Let's just copy this and paste it here. And then we want this to move about 8 pixels. And then we want this to move about 20 pixels. Let's see. Does that work? Almost. Let's increase this to maybe 12. Yes, that does look okay. And then now, instead of just transitioning the transform property, let's transition all the elements, all the properties, sorry, which means both of these ones. And then we're going to have that. Would you look at that? Looking nice. And then let's deal with our footer. So below this, let's say that for the footer element, did I give it a class? Oh, I gave it a class of grid light. So for the footer, we're going to do this. Let's just give it a background color and set it to, what color did we have somewhere? We had a color somewhere in the articles, maybe this one. Copy and paste it here. That is the color for the footer. And then let's go ahead and say give it a padding all round of 2 rem, push everything inwards. And then for the footer, it's the footer element, not the class. It has unordered lists, so I want to remove these bulleted lists. So I'm going to say list style type and set it to none to remove the bulleted lists. And then we're going to say, let me see this, we have a div and then an h5. So for the footer div and for the h5, I want the font size, come on, to be about maybe 1 rem. Let me see. Let's see, follow us. Actually not, it's small like that, so we can remove this, or you know, not remove it really, but we can add a margin bottom. So margin bottom of about 1 rem to push it away from these icons that we have here. Now the icons, remember how we added them in? We have classes on these icons, on the SVGs. So we're going to be using these classes to style them out so that they are white in color. So we're going to say that for the class that is called SVG fallback, we're going to give it a color of #white. And that doesn't, let me say important here. Okay, it doesn't work. So let me see, let's see. Oh, the source isn't there. The source, we don't have this source. That's the reason why. this is not a solution for this would be to use an icon library such as Font Awesome, but I don't want to install an icon library. So let's just remove this and let's just add in the text. So Facebook, and then this SVG is going to say Twitter, and then this SVG is going to say YouTube. Let's just have in the text because I don't want to install Font Awesome and begin doing all that. Okay, so we're going to say that for the grid, let's remove this, and we're going to say we want to get this first div and then get inside this UL. We can do that using classes, but I don't want to use classes. I want to use pseudo classes. So I'm going to say that for the footer, and not it should probably, okay, here's fine. For the footer, for the div, I want the div which is the first child, meaning the first div here and not the second one. So for the first div, I want to get the UL inside, and then I want to say display flex, which is going to align them in raw form, and then give them a gap of about 2 rem to separate them out. And then here, let's give it a margin on the bottom, margin dash bottom of 2 rem. And you know what? Here there is a horizontal line. So below this, we're going to give it a border on the bottom of 2 pixels solid, and then let's say hashtag 999, and there is it, or there it is. English. And then I want to push away this text from the border, and the way you do that is by changing this into padding, and it's going to push it away, but then I still want it to push away from this text, so you're also going to add in margin, and that's how you do it. Now I feel like 2 rem is a bit too much here, so let me reduce it to 1 rem, and we're going to have that. I don't want, just to keep it uniform, let me also reduce this back to 1 rem, yeah, just to keep it uniform. And then let's go inside the footer, and then we want the div which is an nth child of 2, meaning the second div, and then inside this second div we want to get this h2. Okay, and you know what, let me see, I want the h2 to push away from this ul. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say display flex, and it's going to do that. And then let's say flex direction column, which is going to bring it back. And then let's give it a gap of about 3 rem to separate out. That's too much. Let's say 2 rem to separate it out, and we're going to have that. And then now we're going to copy this, and then we want the ul inside this div, which is the first child, meaning the first ul inside this second div. So first child, and then we're going to say display this as a grid with grid template columns to repeat twice and 1 fraction column. And does that work? Let me see, background color red. Huh, what div is this? Wait a minute. Let's bring this, which div is this? It's this one. And then I want the ul, I want this ul. Am I doing that wrongly? The div and then the ul. Let me say this, the immediate ul, which is the parent, which is going to select these 2. And actually, no, that actually fixes it. Oh, so maybe we can't do this. I think that's the issue. Maybe we can't tie in these pseudo classes. Maybe. So let's remove that, and then you can remove this. And yeah, I think that looks okay for the footer. Now let's go ahead and get this button. I just noticed it. So for the button is inside this div. That is is that the container? Really? So you know what, let me give this button a custom class here called btn, just to style it out. Let me see how it looks actually. So it has a border and then the text. So let me go above, or not above, but really below the features. Let's say that for the BTN, let's say I want a padding of 0.625 rem on the top and bottom and 1 rem on the left and right. And then I want the background color to be transparent. Move this upwards. I want the font family to inherit from the body. I want the font size to be 1 rem. I want the color to be the blue color that we had. I had a blue color somewhere, didn't I? The links. I wonder why the colors are not showing up like normal. Here it is, light sky blue. Okay, light sky blue. Here, save it, and we have that. Let's remove that border that it has. So border, let's change it into 1 pixel, solid, and hashtag 999. And then let's say display. Let's say display as an inline block. Will that do anything? And then let's say text align center. Okay, that doesn't do anything. I mean, it does something, but it doesn't do what I expected. Let's add in the border radius here to about 30 pixels, make it rounded. And then let's increase the padding. Let's increase the padding here to 1.5 rem. Actually, that's not it. Here, let's have a padding all around of 1 rem. And let's say 1 rem top and bottom. Let's say 1.5 rem left and right, or 2 rem left and right. Okay, that looks okay. That looks okay. And then let's change the cursor to pointer. So cursor, pointer. And then now let me go here. Let me grab this. Let me cut it out and place it inside the div that has a class of btn container, so that now I can go above this and say that for the btn container class, I can say text align center, which is going to move to the center. And then let me have a margin of 5 rem on the top, and let me say 0 on the left and right, or probably say auto on the left and right, and 3 rem on the bottom. Okay, this is still too small because you can see how large this is. Let me say maybe 15 rem. Yeah, 15 looks okay. Let's change this into 8, and we're going to have that for the bottom. Okay, fantastic. Now all we need to do is just scale this up for larger screens and then add in our SVG images. So right at around medium screens, which are tablets, I want to begin to display this side by side. Remember, this is the class of grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and add a media query, and I'm going to say at media, and for a min width of 760 pixels, which are tablets, then I want to get the class of grid and display this as a grid. So display grid with grid template columns to repeat twice and 1 fractional column each. And you can see that oh no, I structured this wrongly, because now it takes the image as one grid, the h3 as another grid, and then this as another grid, and then this as another grid. So I structured it wrongly. Oh my god. Fixing that is going to be the following. We're going to place this to be full screen, and then we're going to go to the top. And then what we're going to do is this. We're going to grab the h3 all the way to the ordered list here, cut it out, place it inside a div and paste it in. And then we're going to do the same thing here, cut it out, place it inside a div and paste it in. And then for the third one, cut it out, place it inside a div, paste it in. So that now, because we're using grid, it's going to take the image to be the first one, the first grid, and then this div, which is the point for all this other text, to be the second grid. So that when I save it, and you can see that now it kind of fixes it, right? And it almost looks okay, but still looks terrible. Now the next thing that we're going to do is insert the grid, and you know what? Grid is going to mess us up just a bit, because the first one, the text should appear first. The text should appear first, and then the image. So let's not use grid, let's use flexbox. Display flex, and it's going to do this. And then in order to avoid the image taking up so much width than the text, what we're going to do is we're going to say that for the grid img, And then we want to also get the grid div inside, so that we can say flex 1, meaning they're going to take up 50% of their width, but it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply grid img and then grid div. Doesn't apply. What? Let me go here, say background color red. So it doesn't apply. Let's remove this. Let's change this into flex 1. Why not? Is it because it needs to be a block element? No, that's not the reason. Let me say for the grid div, and then remove this. Curious. That's curious. Okay, let me not dwell on that too much. Let's first deal with this. So here we're going to say that for the grid, we want the flex direction to go into row reverse, meaning it's going to bring the text first and then this one. And obviously you realize that we need to change this for the second one. So the way you do that is by saying that for the class of grid, we want the second one, so nth child 2, meaning the second element that has the class of grid, and we want the flex direction to change into row, and that should bring, wait a minute, what? It brings this one. Should this one be 3? Okay, there we go. There we go. CSS has this. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And then let's increase the gap here. Let's increase the gap to about 5 rem, make it insanely big. And then let's begin to style this out. First of all, we also need to limit all this so that they don't go all the way to the end. And the way we do that is by going inside the parent of this, which is the grid. I mean, it's the container really. And let's go ahead and do this. Let's say that for the class of container, then the max width should be 992 pixels. How small is that? That is quite small. That is quite small. And then here, let's set the margin to auto, which is going to center everything. And then the way we stop these images from stretching out is by adding here align item center. And they're going to stop from stretching out. And we're going to have this, but this still has an issue. So grid, the class of grid is displayed as flex. That means we should be able to go inside here and give this a flex of 1. Is it flex of 1 or flex grow? What is the class for it? Let's say that for the dot grid, and then let me say that for the div. Let me say background color green. Okay. So that now we see that we're getting the correct one. I want this text to have a flex of 1. Or is it flex grow? Is it flex grow? Let's add important here. What? Why is it behaving like this? Let's remove this. And then let's remove this. Let's set it to flex. We can remove the background color. But let me get the images. I feel like it's something to do with the images. Oh, we only styled 2 images here. So focus article. Okay. I did not want to do this explicitly on the images. I didn't want to manually style the images. So, but let me try it out. Let me say that for the grid, I want the image. Let's set the width to 500 pixels. I didn't want to do this. This is what I was avoiding. I mean, I thought I could do it without what's it called? Without actually having to manipulate the images. But it seems like we have to. So let me reduce this to 800, 700. And then let's increase this to like what, 1100 pixels? 1100 pixels. How large is this? Well, this is large. This is large. We need to increase this massively. Let's say 1300 pixels. Yeah, let's work with 1300 pixels. And we're going to have that. Okay. Now, the issue becomes we need to increase this space here. We need to increase the space. So the way we're going to do that is by going inside the class of grid. And not, it's actually on top here. And we're going to say that we want the margin on the bottom to increase to about 10 rem. That is massively big. There we go. And the reason why it's like that is because that is also the amount of space that is here. And then we need to add in this background color on the third one. And for this one, we're not going to do it inside the media query because we also want it to apply on mobile screens. So we're going to do this. We're going to say that for the grid, we want to get the class of grid-light and give it a background color of hashtag one. Okay, there you go. Hashtag 3. And this actually shouldn't be here. I mean, it can stay here. Yeah, let's just stay here for the class of grid light so that we don't have this, and these others don't apply. And this is an issue. Can you notice the issue? I think this should go to the end. Yeah, that is the issue. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's go ahead and begin to start this out to make them bigger. So this H, what was it, an H3, I guess. So let's go here. Let's say that for the grid H3, increase the font size to about 3 rem. How big is that? Okay, that's the wrong one. This should be an H2. Still too big. Let's say 2 rem. Okay. And then it applies for this one as well, and it applies for this one as well. Looking nice. And then what can we do? I think we are done with this part. And then let's go into the features part and display this as a grid. And let's say that for the dot features, then we want to display grid with grid template columns to repeat twice and one fractional column each. So 1, 2, and 3. That's what we're going to have on medium screens. And then we're going to copy this, and we're going to add in another media query, and we're going to say at media for a min width of, let's say, 1280 pixels. Then we want this, we can remove this part because we already declared it on top, and then we can change this to 3 fractional columns. So 1, 2, 3, and you can see that we have this issue here. We have that issue. Now let me try disabling. Where is it? Where is our image? Here. Let me try disabling this. I wonder why. I mean, is this counted as part of the height of the image? I'm pretty sure I did something. I'm pretty sure that I did something. Margin. No, margin is on the outside. Margin is not on the inside. So on this article, on this div, this is the image, and then the article has a margin of 32 pixels. I don't see what else could be causing this, but I encountered this problem in another project that I did from Frontend Mentor. Curious. Very curious. Let me try and find this problem. Let me see. This is really annoying. This is so annoying. Features article. Margin 2 rem. Okay. Features article. Could it be this one? No, it can't be that one. Padding 1 rem. No, that only applies on the text. The height. I think I should give these images a fixed height. Let's try that. Let me go here. Let me give it a height of like what? 300 pixels. Really? This is annoying. This is annoying. Let's try this. Let me try and display this as a grid. and then let's say grid template columns to repeat. Wait, is this the article? Twice and one fractional column. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Change this into one fractional column. Okay, when we do that, then the space disappears just a bit. And then let me remove this margin, and instead of margin, let me add a grid gap. Actually not, that won't work. That won't work because on small screens we still need them to push inwards. But this is quite the predicament. Anyways, now let me see, let's see, what do we need to do? We need to add in our images, and then we also need to get this h1 to make it bigger, and then we also need to deal with the footer. So the footer is the easiest one to deal with, so let's begin with that. The footer is somewhere on the bottom. It is here, so the class of grid light, we don't even need this class anymore on the footer, but we need to get this second div on the footer. So the way we did that here was for the div nth child 2. So now instead of giving this flex column, let's just copy this, and then let's say right around here, then we want to remove this, and then we can remove this as well, and then this is going to go into flex direction row, which is going to place them here, and then we're going to say align item center. Oops. Okay, and then justify content to space between, push them end to end, and then we want this second one. We want this second UL, and we're going to grab this, so copy, paste it here, and then we're going to say that for the UL we want the flex direction to be row, because we already have display flex on it and it doesn't change. Do we have this somewhere? Oh, it's displayed as a grid, not as a flex box. Okay, we can just do this. You can just see display flex here, and then it's going to apply in flex. Okay, and then we're going to add a grid gap here of about 2 rem to separate the items out, and we're going to have that. Okay, that is our footer. And then now we just need to deal with, we can remove this margin here. This margin once again was just to so that these items don't push all the way to the end on mobile screens, but now we can remove it just to keep everything uniform here. And the way we do that is by going inside the dot features. Actually not, the class is already here. I mean, wait, it was the dot features and then the articles features and then the article, and then we're going to remove the margin. We're going to see the margin of 0, which is going to push them to the end. And then remember how we are displaying grid here. So what we need to do is actually not, it's not even here. What am I doing? We're going to change this into a grid, and then we're going to say grid template columns to repeat 3 times with 1 fractional column each. No, not here. It should be here. The gap should be 2 rem. There we go. There we go. And then let me wait for this guy who has decided to reverse right at my window to leave, and then we can continue. Okay, so let's do this. We now want to get this h1, increase it, and then we need to style out the icons here. So the h1 was the hero, so we want to get into the hero h1, and let's do it above this. Let's say that for the hero h1 we want the font size to increase to about 4 rem. That's too much. Let's say 3 rem. And no, that's okay actually. Let's see how it looks here. We need it to be a bit bigger on large screen, so let's copy this and paste it above here. Change this to 4 rem, and that should be okay. And then now we want to get in these images. The way we're going to do that is just a bit of reverse engineering. So we're going to copy the SVGs. So we want to copy, these are 2 SVGs really. Background shapes is this is the parallelogram, so we want this one, and then we want to copy this SVG, so copy element, and then inside our HTML we're going to go to the top, and above the container, okay, we want to create a div that has a class of SVGs, and then paste in this first one. And you know what, probably I should place it inside an article so that it doesn't confuse me, so that we can differentiate them. So this article is the SVGs, and then we want to create another article for the right one, and then another article for the bottom left, and then another article for the bottom right. So let's go ahead and grab this second one. Is it this one? This is the bottom left. So let's copy the element here for the bottom left. Bottom left is this one. And then let's go ahead and grab this third one, which is the bottom right. So copy element and place that in the bottom right on the bottom. And then this last one, copy element and place it above here. Now let's save it and let's watch our website do things. And so that there they go. And so here they are. Now we just need to change the colors. And now the way this is done is, if you take a look at the SVGs, they are given classes here, which are then spelled out in CSS. Now what I'm going to do is, I don't want to add in all these classes. And the way you add in a color to an SVG is by using a property here that is called fill. So all the classes here, we're going to change them into fill, and then we're going to be selecting the correct color. Now I just need to know which SVG is which, so that we can actually get the correct colors. So let me start with this one. We're going to copy this color and paste it here. What happens? Okay, that is the background. Is that the correct one? No, it should be the darker one here, and then the lighter one should be here. So copy this one and paste it here. This is just a bit of reverse engineering. Let me see, fill one. There we go. But this one doesn't appear because it has two hashtags. And then this should also be here. Paste it in, save it. And would you look at that? We have the first one in. And then let me see. The class of yellow one is still this very same one. So I want to get everything that has the class of yellow one. Yellow one, no other one. Okay. Now when I save this, then it should apply on this one. Okay. And then let's go ahead and grab this one, path of gray. So it is called gray one. Let's copy this. So copy. Let's save for the class of gray one. Let's paste it here. And then let's change this to fill. And then let's copy this line and save it. Let's see what you have. Okay, there it goes. That is what we want. And gray one is also on another class. So let me look for the class of gray-1. Gray one is here, so paste it here and paste it here. Is there another one? No, there's no other one. Okay, so when I save this, then you can see that now it applies on this one and this one. And then we want to get in this green color. So green, so you want the shapes of green. Let me see. The class of green. So for the class of green, we have this first one here. I should not paste in this and then change this to fill. And then copy this and save it. And then for the next class of green, we need to paste this in, save it. And we have that. Okay. And then we need the class of, we need this one. So path blue and blue one. So there's blue one and blue two. Which one is this one? This is blue 3. Okay, so blue 1 looks like this. Just get the class of blue-1, paste it here, change this to fill, and then let's get the class of blue 2, copy this color, let's find the class of blue 2, paste it here, change this to fill, and then let's get the class of blue 3, this one. So blue 3 is this one. Copy, find the class of blue-3. Here we go. Change this to fill, paste this in, and then let's go ahead and get this class of, actually, is that it? Let's see, save it. Let's see which one is missing. We need, what is this background? What is that background? The background should be this one. Yeah, we need this gray 2 color. So gray 2 is this one. Let's find gray-2. There we go. Let's get it, paste this in, change this to fill. And there we go. Looking fantastic. Now we just need to style them out to look nicer. So let's do this. We're going to go inside this one and this one, which is, oh my god, I should have named these articles. Let's do this. This article, we're going to give it a class of left, or let me say top left. And then this second one, which one is this one now? Which one is this one? Let's disable it. Which one disappears? The top right disappears. Yes, top right disappears. So this article should have a class of top dash right. And then this one, which one is this one? This is the bottom left. So class here is equal to bottom dash left. And then the final one here is going to say class bottom right. Okay, now let's type it out in our CSS and let's begin crying. And we're going to go above the hero. We're going to say that for the class of top left, not even for the class of top left, I want to start with the class of bottom dash left. And for this one, we're going to say position this absolute, and then it's going to break just a bit, or it doesn't break, it breaks but not so much. And then we want to bring it to the bottom by 0. Now it is going to break because now it is here and we don't want it here, we want it somewhere in the section. So since we don't want it here, then let's bring it to the bottom by maybe around 200 pixels. And you know what, I should probably be styling this for mobile first, because mobile is going to be a pain. Okay, and then let's say that, what is the parent class of this? What is the parent? The parent is the div with the class of SVGs. So for the div with the class of SVGs, we want to get the SVG inside, and then let's give them a width of about, what, 100 pixels? How big is that? Yeah, that looks okay on mobile. And then on large screens, we're going to copy this, and where we have 10 to 1280 pixels, we're going to increase the size of this to about maybe 200. How large is that on large screens? Let's see. Yeah, 200 is back to the normal size. Now let's continue styling this out. So 200 pixels, and then we're going to say for the class of dot bottom dash right, we want this to position absolute as well. So absolute, and then bring it to the right by 2 rem, which is going to place it somewhere here, and then bring it to the bottom by 200 pixels, that they're on the same height as this one, or relatively the same height. Wait, why aren't you on the same height? Why is this here and this one here? Let's increase it to 250 maybe. Okay, and then let's deal with the top ones. So for the class of top left, we want this to position relative, and then we want to bring it to the left by minus 20 pixels, or let's say 50 pixels, to push it like inwards, just like the way this one looks like, right? And then actually these ones are even smaller. Okay, I'm not going to be nitpicky with everything. Let's say now for the class of top right, you want this to position relative again, and then we want to bring it to the right by 2 rem, which is going to bring it let's say right of 0. What? Right of 100%. Okay, what? Let's say position absolute. Okay, let's bring it to the right by 0. Okay, now bring it to the top by 0. Okay, now that looks like something. And not, instead of this being relative, let me make it absolute as well, so that we're going to have that for position absolute. And this is an issue. This is still an issue now. This is going to be the real issue. So you know what? For the bottom here, let's use calculate. And then we're going to say calculate 100 viewport heights minus, let me say this is about, my screen is 900 pixels in height. So this is about 450. So let me say minus 600 pixels. This should bring it somewhere. What? Oh wait, what? Minus 100 or 200? Okay, so I'm calculating it wrongly. This should be 400 because I want it to be here. And then copy this and paste it here, which is going to bring this upwards. Let's say calculate 300. Let's say calculate 250. Oh, wait a minute, calculate 350 to bring it downwards. Okay, now this is where the unfun part begins. We want this to be 0, not 2 rem, so that it goes to the end. And then now let's do this. I want this text to be above the images. So we're going to insert the hero. We're going to position the hero as relative. So position relative. And then below this, we're going to give it an insanely high Z index so that it's always above everything. So that now we can actually select the text without selecting the image, as you can see right here. And then now we're going to say padding here. We're going to increase this to about 20 rem. Okay, that's too much. That is too much. Actually, you know what? That is enough. Wait a minute. Okay, it's almost enough. Let's reduce this to about 18 rem or 16. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 6 rem. Okay, looking nice. How does this look? Okay, these need to move to the bottom a bit more. They need to be about on the same line as this logo. So this should increase to maybe, let's say 500 pixels. That's not increase, should reduce to about 200 pixels. Wait, is it increase? Oh my god, why is this thing confusing so much? So let's say 550. Okay, and then increase this to 600. Okay, 500. Okay, yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Now all you need to do is just type this out, because on large screens this happens. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It looks fine. Wait. It actually looks fine. I mean, ours is a bit bigger because we're using padding here, but it looks fine. Okay, so I want to try and add in this horizontal line. I'm not sure whether it's going to work, but I want to try it. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to go inside my hero class, and inside this div, the class of logo, and cut it out and place it inside a div. So inside the div, oops, what? Okay, cut it out, place it inside a div. And then inside here, where's my hero? My hero is here. I'm going to go inside the div that I've just created, and then I'm going to give it a border on the bottom of 1 pixel solid, and then give it this color maybe. Okay, where is it? No, that's not the correct color. We need it to be lighter, so this one. Okay, maybe a lighter one, 999. Okay, that's too much. Let's say 3, and then make it 2 pixels. And then we are going to position this div as relative so that we can get the image. So hero div image, meaning the logo, and position this as absolute. Okay, so it breaks a bit, and then we want to bring it to the top by minus, like what, minus 10 pixels, too little, minus 30 pixels. Okay, that's okay. But then notice how the image is moved to the right just a bit. The middle is somewhere here, so the image is moved to the right a bit. We can reset that by saying bring it to the left by 50%, which is not going to change anything. But then when we say transform and translate on the x-axis by minus 50%, then it moves to the perfect center. And then now what we need to do is let's add a padding on the image of about 1 rem. Okay, that breaks it just a bit. So let's say bring it to the top by what? Let me 1 rem. 1 rem is 16. So let's say 46 pixels. Actually, is that going to work? Yeah, that's correct. And then we're going to give it a background color of the same as our background color here so that it blends in. So let me say hashtag this one, and then let's move this somewhere here. And would you look at that? It's a bit of hacks, but we have managed it. It's a bit of hacking around with this thing, but yeah, that looks okay. That looks okay. And that is quite a nice project, a bit of layout here and there, but it looks nice. So I want to create a GitHub repository for this so that you're going to have access to the finished code. And for that, I'm going to open up Brave browser, open up GitHub, and then open up a new repository, create a new repository. And then let me go ahead and say Chrome what's new clone. And then create repository, creating, and then let's copy this link. Then let's open up, we can close this now. Now let's open up this, place it full screen. We can shut down our server, and then let's open up our terminal. Okay, we can close these ones. And then let's say git init to initialize a git repository, and then git add images and git commit. I'm just going to say images, and then git add index.css and git commit. I'm going to say style elements, and then git add index.html, and I'm going to say git commit. Let me say index.html template, and then git remote add origin, and then paste in our link, and then git push -u origin main, which is going to push it to our remote repository. So let's just wait a moment because for some reason it's taking a while. And there we go. Now let's reload it, and there we go. So you're going to have access to this. This is the repository. It is going to be linked in the description, and that is going to be the end of the project. So if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like. It helps greatly, and subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.